Hello, and welcome to another day of Walking with Jesus as we continue to walk with Jesus to his death. We are in Luke, the Gospel of Luke, chapter 20, and we are at another point. Remember that the religious leaders are questioning Jesus and challenging him, and in this case, it's some Sadducees. Now, in the Judaism of that day, there were Sadducees, there were Pharisees, there were Essenes, and then Zealots, to simplify a complicated picture. Not to say that a Pharisee couldn't also be a zealot, not to say that pretty much there couldn't be some mixture of ideas among them. But just like there are mixtures of ideas in all parties today. And these are kind of the ruling parties, the people that are responsible for leading Israel. And so the Sadducees tended to be wealthier, tended to be more connected to Rome, and tended to be more connected to living in this life well, that this life is what we had, and that was it. They didn't believe in the resurrection. And so the good life was this life, and that's what mattered. Live this life well. So you can imagine coming and talking about heaven, coming and talking about delayed gratification, coming and talking about sacrifice and giving things up in this life, not experiencing the fullness of life here and now, not experiencing wealth and good food and nice clothes and people who applaud you. The Sadducees aren't going to be on board with this. The whole upside down kingdom for them is not something they're interested in. So when we come to this passage, there came to him, this is Luke 20:27, there came to him some Sadducees, those who deny that there is a resurrection, and they ask him a question, saying, Teacher, Moses wrote for us that if a man's brother dies, having a wife but no children, the man must take the widow and raise up offspring for his brother. Now there were 7 brothers. The first took a wife and died without children, and the second and the third took her, and likewise all 7 left no children and died. Afterward the woman also died. In the resurrection, therefore, whose wife will the woman be? For the 7 had her as wife. So you have this situation. It has to do with, a very specific way of thinking within Judaism, that you would raise up progeny for your brother because the land and keeping the land tied to the family and things of that nature, the inheritance needed to be kept in the family line. And so there was this marriage thing that was a part of it. And they ask him about it. And of course, from their perspective, it makes no sense because there is no resurrection and they're just challenging and testing Jesus. And Jesus said to them, the sons of this age marry and are given in marriage. But those who are considered worthy to attain to that age, in other words, the age to come, and to the resurrection from the dead, neither marry nor are given in marriage, for they cannot die anymore, because they are equal to angels and are sons of God, being sons of the resurrection. But that the dead are raised, even Moses showed in the passage about the bush, where he calls the Lord the God of Abraham and the God of Isaac and the God of Jacob. Now he is not the God of the dead, but of the living, for all live to him. Then some of the scribes answered, Teacher, you have spoken well, for they no longer dared to ask him any questions. So they considered this a good answer, but let's go back and look at it. It's a great answer. It's an answer from the Son of God. You can't really go far wrong with that. But one of the things that we're going to find out is that in heaven, we're not going to be married, not husband and wife. We're all going to have unity and oneness and closeness of relationship that's not based on the kinds of practices that we have here on this earth. There's going to be unity and harmony among us all. And that oneness that marriage is supposed to represent here on earth, the oneness between God and humanity, that is most clearly spelled out or reflected in a godly marriage and a good marriage, that's not going to be necessary. We're all going to be one. There's going to be harmony among us all. But he goes on to say that there is indeed a resurrection. The Sadducees are wrong. God is the living, not of the dead. And so when God descended and spoke to Moses out of the bush and declared who he was, he said, I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And Jesus from that is saying he is, he was, he still is, he always will be the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they live with him now. There is a resurrection, and so we want to live for that resurrection, and the only way we can do that is in submission to Jesus. So a little glimpse of heaven and what it's going to be like. Kind of hard to wrap our heads around, but also a glimpse of the reality that there is a resurrection of the dead and that we will spend eternity with God the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Well, as you walk with Jesus today, may you be encouraged by the fact that there is a resurrection, and in that day, in that resurrection, there will be unity and harmony among all peoples, akin to the best of marriages. God bless you as you walk with Jesus.